It is June 11th, 1918. He has been inside Belleau Wood for 5 days. The wood itself is approximately 1 square kilometre of dense forest northwest of Chateau Thierry. The trees grow close together, limestone boulders break through the forest floor, visibility rarely exceeds 50 metres, there are no clear lanes of fire, artillery cannot be effectively adjusted onto targets the forward observers cannot see. The German machine guns are positioned in interlocking fields of fire. They have had weeks to prepare these positions. The Marines have been ordered to take the wood. They have been ordered to attack frontally. The German spring offensive has driven a salient into French lines south of the Aisne River. Between March and early June 1918, German forces have advanced over 50 kilometres in some sectors. Paris is 45 miles from the forward German positions. French reserve divisions are exhausted. The American Expeditionary Force is rushed forward to plug gaps. The 2nd Division arrives in the Chateau Thierry sector on May 31st. It contains 2 infantry brigades. One is the 4th Marine Brigade, composed of the 5th and 6th Marine Regiments and the 6th Machine Gun Battalion. Most of these men have never been in combat. They have been in France for less than 3 months. The Marines are placed on a line running through wheat fields and small patches of woodland. Belleau Wood lies ahead of them. French units are withdrawing through their positions. A French officer reportedly suggests the Marines should prepare to fall back. The American brigade commander declines. The Marines are not yet attacking. They are simply holding a line the French have abandoned. On June 1st, German artillery begins probing the American positions. Small arms fire is exchanged. The Germans hold Belleau Wood and the villages of Bourech and Vaux. The Marines hold wheat fields and scattered tree lines with no overhead cover. The terrain does not favour defence. Belleau Wood is not a typical forest. The trees are mature hardwoods, beech, oak, hornbeam, growing on rocky ground. The forest floor is covered in thick underbrush. Fallen logs and limestone outcroppings create natural obstacles every few metres. A man advancing through this terrain cannot maintain formation. He cannot see his squad leader. He cannot manoeuvre around obstacles without losing contact with adjacent units. The Germans understand this. They have prepared defensive positions in depth. Machine gun teams are placed to cover the few natural approach routes. Riflemen occupy shell craters and foxholes between the gun positions. Communication trenches have been dug connecting the positions. The defenders can shift forces rapidly while attackers stumble through undergrowth under fire. The wood is divided by a ravine running roughly north to south. This ravine is choked with brush and fallen trees. It becomes a natural killing zone. Any assault into the wood must cross this ravine or bypass it entirely. Both options expose attackers to enfilade fire from multiple positions. The American maps of the wood are inaccurate. The few aerial photographs available show tree canopy, not ground detail. Company commanders cannot see their objectives from their start lines. They cannot identify machine gun positions until their men are already taking casualties. The Germans defending Belleau Wood are not rear echelon troops. They are primarily from the 461st Imperial German Infantry Regiment, part of the 237th Division. Some sources indicate elements of the 10th and 197th Divisions are also present in the sector. These are not the elite stormtroopers used in the spring offensive, but they are experienced soldiers. Most have been on the Western Front for years. They have fought at Verdun. They have held trenches under sustained bombardment. They have repulsed French and British attacks. They do not expect serious trouble from Americans. German intelligence assessments in early June 1918 rate American divisions as inexperienced and poorly led. The assessments are not entirely wrong. The American Expeditionary Force has been in France in strength for less than a year. Most American units have seen limited action. German officers believe American troops will perform adequately in defence but will break under the stress of offensive operations against prepared positions. The Marines at Belleau Wood will challenge this assessment violently. The 4th Marine Brigade has been trained differently from most American units. Marine Corps doctrine emphasises rifle marksmanship. Every Marine is expected to qualify as a marksman at ranges out to 500 yards. This is not standard for infantry in 1918. Most armies accept that sustained rifle fire at long range is ineffective. Machine guns and artillery dominate. Individual marksmanship is considered less important than fire discipline and trench discipline. The Marines have been trained as riflemen first. They carry the M1903 Springfield rifle. It is accurate. They know how to use it. This training will prove useful in the wheat fields before Belleau Wood. It will prove almost irrelevant inside the forest. Marine training also emphasizes the bayonet. Close quarters combat drills are conducted repeatedly. Men are taught to thrust, withdraw, and move to the next target. They are taught that hesitation in close combat is fatal. This training is more relevant than the marksmanship training for what is coming. Most of the Marines in the 5th and 6th regiments are young. A significant portion are recent recruits. The regiments contain a core of experienced NCOs and officers, many of whom served in small-scale actions in Haiti, Nicaragua, or the Philippines. These men know what close combat looks like in jungle or urban terrain. They do not know what it looks like against German machine guns in a European forest. The plan for June 6th is straightforward. The 2nd Division will attack German positions across the entire sector. The Marines will advance across open wheat fields toward Belleau Wood and the village of Bourresh. The wheat is waist-high, it provides concealment but no cover. The Germans can see movement in the wheat. Their machine guns are sighted to sweep the fields. The attack begins at 3:45 in the afternoon on June 6th. There is a brief artillery preparation. It is inadequate. American artillery doctrine is still developing. Forward observers have difficulty identifying targets. German positions inside Belleau Wood are largely untouched. The 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines and the 3rd Battalion, 6th Marines advance in waves across the wheat fields south and southwest of Belleau Wood. They are advancing in formations developed for open warfare, not for crossing ground swept by machine gun fire. The formations are too dense, the men are too close together. German machine guns open fire at ranges between 400 and 800 meters. The Marines are still crossing open ground. They cannot see the gun positions, they cannot return effective fire. Men begin falling in the wheat. The casualties in the first assault are severe. Companies that begin the advance with 200 men lose 30, 40, 50 men in the first 10 minutes. Some platoons lose every officer and senior NCO before reaching the woodline. Junior NCOs and privates take over. The advance continues. This is the first indication that something is different. French units attacking the same positions days earlier have gone to ground under machine gun fire and waited for artillery support. The Marines do not go to ground. When men are hit, the others continue forward. When officers fall, sergeants take over. When sergeants fall, corporals take over. The attack does not stop. A Marine lieutenant with the 49th Company, 1st Battalion, 5th Marines, later describes the advance across the wheat field in a letter to his family. He writes that he could see men falling but could not tell who they were until he got close to them. He states that his company lost its captain and 2 platoon leaders in the first 5 minutes. He took command of what remained. By the time his men reached the woodline, he estimates he had 60 men left from a company that started with 196. The 3rd Battalion, 6th Marines, reaches the southern edge of Belleau Wood by early evening. They have crossed 400 meters of open ground under continuous fire. Casualty estimates for the battalion vary, but over 100 men are dead or wounded before the 1st Marine enters the tree line. The battalion commander, Major Burton Sibley, is wounded. Company commanders are dead or wounded. The men entering the wood are disorganized and exhausted. Inside the wood, the fighting changes immediately. Visibility drops to 20 or 30 meters. German positions are invisible until Marines are nearly on top of them. Machine guns fire from positions 10 meters away. Riflemen appear from behind trees and limestone boulders. There is no room to maneuver. There is no room to deploy. Squads become separated. Individual Marines find themselves alone or in groups of 3 or 4 men, moving through underbrush toward the sound of gunfire. The close quarters fighting that develops inside Belleau Wood is not clean. Men are shot at ranges where they can see each other's faces. Grenades are thrown into foxholes. Marines use their rifles as clubs when they cannot reload. They use bayonets. They use entrenching tools. German soldiers do the same. This is not unique to Belleau Wood. Close combat in 1918 is always brutal. What is unusual is the scale and the persistence. The Marines do not withdraw when they take casualties. They do not consolidate and wait for support. They continue attacking through the night. The 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines assaults the village of Bourresh on the evening of June 6th. The village is northeast of Belleau Wood. It is defended by German infantry with machine guns, positioned in stone buildings. The Marines attack frontally. They fight house to house. By midnight, they hold most of the village. They have lost over half the battalion's effective strength. The fighting in Buresh is documented in Marine Corps records. The 16th Company leads the assault. The company commander, Captain Donald Duncan, is killed entering the village. His replacement is killed 20 minutes later. A gunnery sergeant takes command. The company fights through the night. When roll call is held the next morning, 43 men answer. The company strength before the assault was 212. June 7th and 8th are spent consolidating positions and attempting to clear more of Belleau Wood. The Marines hold the southern and western edges, the Germans hold the northern half and most of the central ravine. Neither side has clear information about enemy positions. Patrols sent into the wood often do not return. When they do return, their reports conflict. On June 8th, a Marine patrol from the 96th Company penetrates approximately 150 metres into the northern section of the wood. The patrol consists of a sergeant and 9 men. They encounter a German machine gun position. The sergeant attempts to flank the position. He is killed. The patrol withdraws under fire. 2 men are wounded during the withdrawal. 1 dies before reaching American lines. The patrol reports that German positions in the northern wood appear strongly held. The command structure is struggling to maintain coherent operations. Battalion and company commanders have been replaced multiple times. Communications with forward units are unreliable. Telephone lines are cut by shellfire. Runners are killed or wounded trying to reach isolated positions. Orders are delayed or never delivered. Units sometimes advance without knowing adjacent units have been pinned down or forced to withdraw. On June 9th, the 1st Battalion 6th Marines is ordered to attack through the centre of Belleau Wood toward the northern edge. The battalion moves out at 4 a.m. Visibility in the pre-dawn darkness is approximately 10 metres. The battalion becomes disoriented almost immediately. Companies lose contact with each other, platoons become separated from their companies. When dawn breaks, elements of the 1st Battalion find themselves scattered across the central section of the wood. Some units have advanced 300 metres, others have made no progress. German machine guns open fire from multiple directions. The battalion attempts to consolidate but cannot establish a coherent defensive line. The fighting on June 9th is particularly confused. Individual squads and fire teams are scattered throughout the central wood. They engage German positions they encounter. They have no communication with higher headquarters. They do not know if they are advancing or defending. They simply fight the enemy they can see. A Marine corporal from the 75th Company later writes in his diary about June 9th. He describes advancing with 7 men through thick underbrush. They stumble onto a German foxhole. The Germans fire first. 2 Marines are hit. The corporal throws a grenade into the foxhole. The explosion is followed by screaming. The remaining Marines move forward and find 3 dead Germans. They do not find any weapons in the foxhole, which suggests the Germans may have been medics or supply personnel. The corporal does not express remorse in his diary entry. He records the incident factually and moves on to describe the rest of the day. By the afternoon of June 9th, the 1st Battalion, 6th Marines has been fought to exhaustion. The battalion is ordered to withdraw to the southern edge of the wood. The withdrawal is conducted under fire. More men are hit. The battalion consolidates in positions it held on June 7th. It has gained no ground. It has suffered over 100 casualties. On June 10th, the 1st Battalion 6th Marines is ordered to attack into the northern section of Belleau Wood again. The battalion advances at dawn. It immediately encounters German machine gun positions that were not identified on any map. The advance stalls. The battalion commander, Major John Hughes, is killed. Company officers are killed or wounded within the first hour. The attack continues anyway. Small groups of Marines push forward without orders. They locate German positions by drawing fire. Then they attempt to flank those positions. The Germans shift their machine guns to cover new approaches. More Marines are hit. The survivors continue moving forward. By the afternoon of June 10th, the 1st Battalion has advanced approximately 200 metres into the northern wood. It has lost over 60% of its strength. The men are exhausted. They have been under fire for 8 hours. They have no contact with battalion headquarters. They do not know if adjacent units have advanced or withdrawn. A Marine private later describes the afternoon of June 10th in a letter. He states that he spent 3 hours lying behind a log with 2 other men. All 3 were wounded. They could hear Germans talking less than 20 metres away but could not see them through the brush. When darkness fell, they crawled back toward American lines. One of the men died during the crawl. The private does not know his name. This is not an unusual experience. The Marines are using grenades extensively inside Belleau Wood. The standard American grenade is the Mark I fragmentation grenade. It has a 4 to 7 second fuse delay. The delay is inconsistent. Some grenades detonate early, some fail to detonate at all. Marines learn to count the delay and throw accordingly. This is imprecise. Men are killed by their own grenades. The Germans use stick grenades, the steel hand granite model 24. These are more reliable than the American grenades. The stick provides leverage for longer throws. German defenders can throw grenades from covered positions without exposing themselves to rifle fire. This gives them an advantage in close fighting. Marines adapt by attempting to close the distance before Germans can throw. This leads to more bayonet fighting. Marine training emphasizes aggressive bayonet charges. German training emphasizes defensive bayonet use. Neither doctrine is designed for fighting in dense forest where visibility is limited and movement is restricted. Actual bayonet combat in Belleau Wood is rare, but does occur. When it occurs, it is brief and brutal. Men lunge at each other at ranges of 2 or 3 meters. There is no time for technique. The first thrust usually determines the outcome. Wounded men are killed where they fall. There are documented instances of Marines and Germans both being killed with bayonets, but these instances are relatively uncommon compared to casualties from small arms and grenades. More common is the use of entrenching tools. Every soldier carries a short-handled shovel for digging foxholes. In close combat, these tools become weapons. They are effective. A man struck in the head or neck with an entrenching tool is usually incapacitated immediately. There are accounts from both Marine and German sources of soldiers using entrenching tools when their rifles jam or when fighting in confined spaces where rifles cannot be brought to bear. The shotgun issue is complicated. The Marines do carry Winchester Model 1897 pump-action shotguns. These weapons are issued to select men in each company, usually NCOs, or men designated for trench clearing. The shotgun fires 6 rounds of buckshot in rapid succession. Each round contains 9 pellets. At ranges under 20 meters, the shotgun is devastating. German soldiers hit by shotgun fire at close range suffer traumatic wounds. Multiple pellets strike the target simultaneously. The wounds are difficult to treat in field conditions. Men hit in the torso usually die. Men hit in the limbs suffer severe tissue damage and bone fractures. The psychological effect on German troops who witness shotgun casualties is significant. A captured German letter dated June 15, 1918, describes an encounter with American troops using shotguns. The writer states that 2 men in his squad were killed by a single American soldier who fired repeatedly at close range. The writer describes the weapon as barbaric and states that the Americans appeared to show no hesitation in using it, even at ranges where surrender would normally be accepted. The letter suggests the writer believes the shotgun should be prohibited. The German formal protest against shotgun use is filed in July 1918. The protest claims that shotguns violate the Hague Convention prohibition on weapons, causing unnecessary suffering. The American government responds that the shotgun is a legitimate military weapon and that its use is no more inhumane than flamethrowers, which the Germans use regularly. The protest is rejected. The shotguns remain in service. The reality is that shotguns are used relatively infrequently at Belleau Wood. They are effective only at very close range. Most combat in the wood occurs at ranges between 20 and 100 meters, where rifles and machine guns are more effective. The shotgun's reputation exceeds its actual tactical impact, but the reputation matters. German soldiers who believe Americans are using illegal weapons are more likely to view American tactics as savage. The fighting inside Belleau Wood continues for another 2 weeks after June 10th. The pattern remains consistent. Marines attack, Germans hold, casualties accumulate, ground is measured in meters, positions change hands multiple times, companies are reduced to platoon strength, platoons are reduced to squad strength, squads cease to exist as coherent units. On June 11th, elements of the 6th Marines attempt to clear the central ravine. The ravine is approximately 40 meters wide and runs for 300 meters through the center of the wood. German machine guns are positioned on both sides of the ravine with overlapping fields of fire. Any movement into the ravine draws fire from multiple directions. The Marines attempt to advance along the western side of the ravine. they make minimal progress. A company commander reports that his lead platoon is pinned down after advancing less than 50 meters. He requests artillery support. The artillery cannot effectively target positions inside the ravine without risking friendly fire casualties. The request is denied. The company attempts to withdraw. During the withdrawal, the company commander is killed by machine gun fire. The executive officer takes command. He orders the remaining men to consolidate in whatever cover they can find. The company spends the night scattered along the western slope of the ravine. German forces are less than 30 meters away across the ravine floor. During the night of June 11th, individual firefights erupt along the ravine. Neither side has clear visibility. Germans throw grenades toward sounds of movement. Marines return fire toward muzzle flashes. Men are killed in darkness without ever seeing the enemy. When dawn breaks on June 12th, the ravine is still contested. Bodies lie on both sides. June 12th brings renewed American attacks. The 2nd Battalion, 6th Marines, is ordered to attack the eastern section of Belleau Wood. The battalion has been reinforced with replacements. It is at approximately 75% strength. The attack begins at 5 p.m, following a brief artillery bombardment. The battalion advances into the wood from the southeast. They encounter prepared German positions within 100 meters. Machine gun fire from concealed positions stops the lead companies. The battalion attempts to maneuver around the positions. The dense terrain makes maneuver nearly impossible. Units become fragmented. By nightfall on June 12th, the 2nd Battalion holds positions approximately 150 meters into the eastern wood. They have suffered over 80 casualties. German positions ahead of them remain intact. The battalion consolidates for the night. The nature of the close combat inside Belleau Wood begins to generate reports that disturb German commanders. Letters written by German soldiers and captured later describe American tactics as excessively violent. The specific complaints vary, but common themes emerge. German soldiers report that American troops do not accept surrenders in some instances. This claim is difficult to verify. Combat in dense terrain is chaotic. Men who attempt to surrender are sometimes shot by other defenders who are still fighting. Men who attempt to surrender while their comrades continue firing are sometimes killed because the Americans cannot determine intent. Some Americans may refuse surrenders. There is no reliable way to distinguish these scenarios in after-action reports. A specific incident is documented in Marine Corps records from June 13th. A squad from the 81st Company encounters a group of 6 German soldiers attempting to surrender. The Germans have their hands raised. The Marine squad leader orders his men to accept the surrender. As the Marines move forward, one of the Germans drops his hands and reaches for a rifle. The Marines fire. All 6 Germans are killed. The squad leader reports the incident as a justified response to a false surrender. German accounts describe the incident as an execution. The truth cannot be determined from the available evidence. German reports also claim that Americans use illegal weapons beyond the shotgun. Some reports mention American soldiers using knives in close combat. This is not illegal. All soldiers carry knives or bayonets, but German accounts describe Americans using knives to kill wounded Germans rather than taking them prisoner. Again, verification is impossible. Wounded men in dense terrain are sometimes killed because evacuation is impossible, and leaving them alive poses a security risk. This is a reality of close combat, not a war crime. But from the German perspective, it appears deliberate and brutal. Another factor contributing to German perceptions of American savagery is the persistence of Marine attacks. German defensive doctrine in 1918 assumes that attacking infantry will break after suffering 25 to 30% casualties. This is a reasonable assumption based on years of experience. French, British, and German units all tend to falter or withdraw after reaching this casualty threshold. Marine units at Belleau Wood continue attacking after suffering 40, 50, 60% casualties. From the German perspective, this behavior is irrational. It suggests that American commanders do not care about losses, or that American troops are too inexperienced to understand when an attack has failed. Neither explanation is entirely correct. Marine commanders are aware of casualty rates. They are receiving reports. The reports are often inaccurate because communication with forward units is fragmentary, but the general scale of losses is understood. The decision to continue attacking reflects American doctrine, which emphasizes offensive action and specific orders from division and corps headquarters, which demand results. The Marines themselves continue attacking for different reasons. Unit cohesion remains intact despite casualties, because NCOs maintain discipline and because the Marines have been trained to view withdrawal as unacceptable. This is not bravery in the abstract sense, it is conditioning. Men advance because they have been trained to advance and because the men around them are advancing. A Marine sergeant from the 43rd Company writes in a letter dated June 14th that he has seen men continue fighting after being wounded multiple times. He describes one Marine who was shot in the arm and continued firing his rifle one-handed until he was shot again in the leg. The Marine then used his rifle as a crutch to move forward until he collapsed. The sergeant states that this behaviour was common, not exceptional. By June 13th, the Marines have been fighting for a full week. The 4th Marine Brigade has suffered over 1,500 casualties. Some companies are at 20% strength. The 6th Marine Regiment is combat ineffective as a coherent unit. Individual battalions and companies are still fighting, but coordination above the platoon level is difficult. German forces in Belleau Wood have also taken significant casualties, though exact numbers are not available in German records from this period. Estimates based on American reports of enemy dead suggest German losses are between 500 and 800 killed and wounded by mid-June. This is a lower casualty rate than the Marines are experiencing, which is expected given that the Germans are defending prepared positions. What is not expected is the German decision to reinforce Belleau Wood. Rather than abandon it, the wood has limited tactical value. It is a kilometre of forest. Holding it does not threaten American lines. Losing it does not open a route to Paris. A rational decision would be to withdraw and allow the Marines to exhaust themselves taking empty ground. The Germans reinforce. Elements of the 87th Division are moved into the northern section of the wood on June 13th and 14th. Fresh machine gun teams are brought forward. The defences are strengthened. Communication trenches are extended. Ammunition stocks are replenished. This decision reflects German command assessment that the Americans must be stopped. If American units are allowed to succeed through sheer aggression and disregard for casualties, it sets a dangerous precedent. The Germans need to demonstrate that experienced defenders can break American attacks. Belleau Wood becomes a test case. The Marines resume large-scale attacks on June 11th and 12th. The 2nd Battalion, 6th Marines, attacks the central ravine. The 1st Battalion, 5th Marines, attacks from the west. Both attacks fail to secure objectives. Both battalions suffer heavy casualties. The survivors consolidate in positions inside the wood and wait for orders. On June 13th, a Marine Company commander sends a message to brigade headquarters. The message states that his company has taken its objective, but is unsure if it can hold the position. He requests artillery support and reinforcements. He notes that he has 32 men remaining from a company that started the day with 112. The message is representative. Across the entire brigade, company strengths are reduced to platoon levels. The replacement system is not yet functioning effectively. Men are arriving from training camps in the United States, but they are not reaching frontline units quickly enough to offset losses. The replacements who do arrive face immediate combat. There is no gradual integration into veteran units. Men arrive at company positions and are assigned to squads that are under strength. They go into action within hours. Survival rates for replacements are lower than for men who have been in the woods since June 6th. The replacements lack the small unit cohesion and terrain familiarity that improves survival in close combat. A replacement private arriving with the 18th Company on June 14th writes in his diary that he was assigned to a squad with 5 men. The squad leader was a corporal who had been a private 4 days earlier. The previous squad leader had been killed. The corporal told the replacement to stay close and watch for hand signals because shouting would draw fire. The replacement went into the wood on June 15th. He was wounded on June 16th. German positions in the northern wood remain intact through mid-June. Marine patrols probing these positions report heavy fire. The Germans are still capable of sustained defence, and they are not demoralised. They are not preparing to withdraw. On June 15th, Marine patrols report that German forces are constructing new defensive positions in the northern section of the wood. This indicates German intent to hold the position indefinitely. Brigade headquarters orders continued pressure on German lines but does not order major assaults. The Marines conduct limited attacks and aggressive patrolling through June 22nd. During this period, the fighting settles into a pattern of small unit actions. Squads and platoons probe German positions. They engage in firefights. They withdraw. casualties continue to accumulate, but at a lower rate than during the major assaults of early June. The pause allows Marine units to integrate replacements and reorganize companies. The Germans use this same period to strengthen their defences. Additional machine guns are brought forward, trenches are deepened, fields of fire are cleared. By June 22nd, German positions in the Northern Wood are stronger than they were on June 6th. On June 23rd, the Marines launch another major assault on Belleau Wood. This attack is preceded by a 14-hour artillery bombardment beginning at 5 p.m. on June 22nd. Over 3,000 rounds of high explosive and gas shells are fired into the wood. The bombardment is more effective than previous efforts, but the terrain still limits effectiveness. Many German positions survive intact. Trees and limestone boulders provide cover from shell fragments. Foxholes and communication trenches protect infantry from overhead bursts. The 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, attacks at 5 a.m. on June 23rd. The battalion has been rebuilt with replacements and men returning from hospitals. It is at approximately 70% strength. The attack advances from the southern edge of the wood toward the northern positions, and the Germans resist. Machine gun fire from the northern tree line stops the first assault wave. Marines go to ground and wait for supporting fire. When the supporting fire arrives, they advance again. The pattern repeats. Advance, take casualties, consolidate, advance again. The fighting on June 23rd is methodical. Marine companies advance by bounds. One platoon provides covering fire, while another platoon moves forward. When the advancing platoon is pinned down, the positions reverse. Progress is measured in tens of meters. Each advance costs casualties, but the advances continue. By noon on June 23rd, elements of the 3rd Battalion have reached positions 300 meters north of the southern wood line. They are engaged in close fighting with German infantry. Machine gun positions are being reduced one at a time. Marines work around the flanks of each position and attack with grenades and rifle fire. Germans attempt to reinforce threatened positions but are engaged by Marine machine guns firing from the tree line. German casualties on June 23rd are significant. American reports indicate over 100 German dead counted in the southern and central sections of the wood. This number includes only bodies that can be reached and counted. Actual German casualties are likely higher. German wounded are being evacuated to the north, but evacuation is difficult under American fire. By the afternoon of June 23rd, Marine units have reached the northern edge of Belleau Wood in some sectors. They are met with counterattacks from German reserves positioned beyond the wood. The fighting continues into the evening. Positions change hands. Individual squads hold sections of trench line, lose them, retake them. The night of June 23rd into June 24th is marked by continuous small arms fire. Neither side can rest. German forces attempt to infiltrate Marine positions under cover of darkness. Marines conduct aggressive patrols to prevent German infiltration. Men fight at ranges under 10 meters. Grenades are thrown blindly toward sounds of movement. Flares illuminate small sections of the battlefield for seconds at a time before darkness returns. On June 24th, the attacks continue. The 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines pushes into the final German positions in the northern wood. The fighting is house-to-house combat in a forest. Each tree, each boulder, each foxhole must be cleared. Germans who withdraw from one position reappear in another position 20 meters back. The Marines cannot bypass strong points because bypassed positions fire into their rear. A Marine lieutenant describes June 24th as the most difficult day of the battle. He writes that his platoon advanced approximately 70 meters in 8 hours. They cleared 5 German machine gun positions. Each position required grenades and close assault. His platoon started the day with 34 men. By evening, he had 19 men still able to fight. By June 25th, organised German resistance in Belleau Wood is collapsing. Small pockets of German infantry continue fighting, but they are isolated. They cannot coordinate with each other, they cannot receive supplies or reinforcements. Marine units are bypassing isolated positions and pushing toward the northern edge of the wood. On June 26th, at approximately 9 a.m., elements of the 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines reach the northern edge of Belleau Wood. They establish positions along the tree line. German forces beyond the wood withdraw under fire. Marines consolidate their positions and prepare for counterattacks. At 7 p.m. on June 26th, the 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines sends a message to Brigade Headquarters. The message reads, "Woods now, U.S. Marine Corps entirely." This message is not entirely accurate. Small pockets of German resistance remain inside the wood. Patrols will continue clearing these pockets for another day, but organised German defence of Belleau Wood has ended. The remaining Germans withdraw or surrender during the night of June 26th into June 27th. The cost of taking Belleau Wood is tabulated over the following weeks. The 4th Marine Brigade suffers 1,062 killed and 3,615 wounded during June 1918. Not all of these casualties occur at Belleau Wood. Some occur in fighting at Baresh and in other sectors, but the majority occur during the 3-week battle for the wood itself. These casualty figures represent over 50% of the brigade's strength. Some battalions suffer 70% casualties. The 3rd Battalion, 6th Marines, which made the first assault on June 6th, loses approximately 80% of its officers and 65% of its enlisted men. German casualty figures for the same period are incomplete. Post-war German sources estimate losses in the Belleau Wood sector at approximately 1,600 killed, wounded and missing. This figure includes casualties from multiple regiments and divisions operating in the area. It is not a precise count. The battle also produces a significant number of German prisoners. American reports indicate that over 300 German soldiers are captured during the fighting. Some surrender during assaults. Others are found in isolated positions after organised resistance ends. The treatment of these prisoners becomes part of the broader narrative about Marine conduct at Belleau Wood. German reports claim that prisoners are mistreated. Specific allegations include beatings and summary executions. These allegations are difficult to substantiate. Some prisoners may have been mistreated. Summary executions are unlikely but cannot be ruled out entirely in the chaos of close combat. American after-action reports describe German prisoners as generally cooperative once captured. Several reports note that prisoners appear relieved to be out of the fighting. This suggests that German morale in Belleau Wood was deteriorating by late June. One documented incident involves a group of 17 German soldiers who surrender to a Marine platoon on June 24th. The Marines search the prisoners and find letters and personal items. One Marine takes a German helmet as a souvenir. The prisoners are escorted to the rear without incident. This appears to be the typical experience for German prisoners at Belleau Wood. The term Teufelshunde, often translated as devil dogs, is commonly attributed to German soldiers describing the Marines at Belleau Wood. The origin of this term is disputed. Some sources claim it appears in the German intelligence reports during the battle. Other sources suggest it is a post-war invention or mistranslation. What is documented is that German soldiers did describe American troops at Belleau Wood as unusually aggressive. Letters and diaries written by German defenders use terms that translate roughly as wild or savage. One captured letter describes American attacks as insane because they continued despite heavy casualties.